Alright, so we've been coming down off that ridge, coming down the road we just made, crossing that little drainage, coming across through here into our pipe. If you look across, you can see that this is mounded up pretty big. I think this was dug out intentionally at some point and all that dirt was just kind of pulled and piled right there. I think what I'm going to do is come in on the other side with the tractor and just start pushing. We'll level this out, and once this is level, I should have enough to cover this as well. I don't plan on driving anything across there much more than a four-wheeler, maybe a side-by-side at some point if I get one. And once this thing's full of rock and it packs in good, the pressure on that pipe probably won't be too much. But you know, it'll all be supported by the rocks and stuff. I guess if I had to, in an emergency, we could scoot a car across there. It's a little muddy, but some of this old chert rock is actually kind of pretty. I have a feeling I'm going to wish I had two pipes in there at some point. There's not a lot of water flowing through here right now, but there can be with a moderate rain. And I'm worried that that one pipe is not going to be enough. I guess we'll see. My hope is that all this debris that I've piled in this creek upstream is going to pack in and slow this water down so that it's not rushing through here. And I've piled some here so that anything that does come through will settle and pack in right here, right? So if I get a bunch of water and this thing starts shifting, it shouldn't go any further than this. I can then just dig it out, redo it. Hopefully that doesn't happen. We've got a couple of days later this week with a lot of rain. One day is like 1.25 inches, and then the next day is like 1.5 inches. So over the course of about 48 hours, we're going to get close to 3 inches of rain. I have seen this, the first year that we bought this property, this whole bottom, all the way up through here, this creek channel, this ditch was full, and up above that, it got up to about here. I've seen water high enough to fill this little ditch and it'd be about ankle deep all the way across here. That's the highest I've ever seen it. Most of the time, you know, it's about like you would see in a drainage ditch going down the side of the road in town. You've got a lot of parking lot runoff, building roof runoff and stuff that kind of funnels into a ditch that runs along the road and then down into a local creek. This really isn't any different. We've got all these hills and a lot uphill from here. And when it rains hard enough to the point that it just won't soak in, of course, all that funnels down the hills down these couple of little feeder hollows and into here, and then on down and out. So hopefully I've done enough mitigation upstream far enough that we won't have a bunch of water coming through here in a hurry. It'll be just a slow, steady flow. 2 years ago, I piled a whole bunch of stuff in here, sticks and branches and stuff, and you can see that it has sedimented in. It is flat right here. You can walk across it no problem, but if you come right up here, you can see how deep it gets. Look here. Squirrels just about chewed through that one. And you can't tell probably by looking at it from the camera, but that's about a 4 or 5 foot deep hole right there. Water used to come down out of this hollow, come right straight down, and had just washed all this out, creating a big old mess. I piled up some dirt here so that when the water comes down, it actually goes up here, spreads out, slows down before it goes way out here and makes a turn and comes down. So again, slowing the water down. So time will tell, fingers crossed, but this is a first. I'm checking this one off the list. We've never been able to get across this creek in all the time that we've owned this property. So glad to get it done. This is going to open up this backside of the property. You saw I can come across with the tractor. Certainly a four-wheeler is no problem. When I cut this pipe, I measured the width of Old Red, the pickup truck, to see how wide that was, and that still gives me, I think, a foot on either side if I have to even get the pickup truck through here. So we should be good as long as it holds. All right, y'all. We're gonna call it a day right there. I've been on that thing for 5 hours straight, other than to hop off and fix something if I had to. So other than that, it's been full bore up and down that hill, piling rock, moving dirt, cutting trails and stuff, and I'm a little beat. Appreciate y'all joining us. If you enjoyed any of this content, we would love for you to hit that subscribe button. We're getting close to that benchmark of 1,000 subscribers, and we could hit that monetization button and start earning a little bit of income off of our channel instead of YouTube keeping all of it. We certainly would appreciate it. For those of you that have already subscribed, we definitely appreciate your support. Hope you all have a great week. Stay warm, stay safe, and stay healthy. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.